actually at my wedding that we first noticed there was a problem with my mom. She really didn't like Brad, for starters, which had to have been dementia, because she reacted very irrationally to the engagement. It's in the book. And on the day of my wedding, she was particularly tearful. And at the last minute, we gave her something to read because she was very upset she wasn't in the ceremony. And so we gave her a Bible passage, and she got up and she froze, and she wasn't able to get through it. She kept going back to the front of the line and then repeating things. And my sister was on the other side of me. We were on both sides of my mom, and both of us wanted to just reach out and help her through it. It was one of those like really awkward moments in front of all these people that seemed to just stretch on forever, and she finally got through it. And looking back, that was the first time I'd ever seen something like that from her, because she used to get up in front of people all the time and was used to public speaking. She was very intelligent and wrote, was a prolific writer. And so for something like that to happen was out of character. But what followed were 2 years of pretty intense testing as she began to have increasing difficulties with finding words and sentences, with signing her name on her checks at the grocery store, with understanding numbers.
Kimberly Williams-Paisley in Bowling Green to talk about her new book, Where the Light Gets In, Losing My Mother Only to Find Her Again. And Kimberly, so many people look at you, they see the fame and the beauty, and they think this woman's got her life together, her life is perfect. What made you decide to open yourself up and kind of show your vulnerable side that your family was struggling with this mysterious illness?
Well, my life is not perfect, and it was very isolating to be going through this for so many years. We didn't talk about it with many people. We didn't have a community, like a support community, aside from our friends, but we didn't have a support community of people who'd been through it. And so I saw a real need to talk about this and to share the mistakes we made, the things we wish we'd done differently, the resources we found. There's an extensive resource section in the back. And to just tell the story of my mom and our relationship. And it was really healing for me. Selfishly, it was very healing to talk about it, but it was also really transformative to share the story with other people and hear their stories.
Yes, very therapeutic to put those words to paper, right? Share your family story. And there are a lot of people out there that have aging parents that are suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia. This was a little bit different than your typical dementia, though. This was a little bit more rare, right?
Yes, my mom has primary progressive aphasia, which is a frontotemporal lobe disorder. And Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, but PPA is also another form of dementia. And with her, it struck her with speech first. She had trouble speaking and finding the words and sentences. There was behavioral issues, things like that. And then now, she's still alive, and I think the symptoms she has now are similar to Alzheimer's. By the end, it's all kind of looks the same.
Right. Do you think that resources are getting better, that we're getting better treatment for not only people who have dementia, but also the caregivers? It takes such a toll on the
family.
Exactly.
That's one of the messages I want to get out, is pay attention to the caregivers, and I do think there is a lot more awareness about that now. This is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. I've got my purple, in my hair.
We love that, yes.
And the Alzheimer's Association is a fantastic resource. And we only turned to them late because my mom had PPA. We thought, well, it's not Alzheimer's. Well, how can they help us? Well, they can. They have a 24-hour caregiver hotline that you can call wherever you are to get local resources. And I think that's just really important for people to know, because in the case of my father, he didn't really realize he was in trouble. But he was, and caregivers are in trouble quite often, and they don't realize it.
Right, and a lot of times it's the wives taking care of the husbands. That just seems to be how it goes. So a little different that it was your dad having to help with your mother's care. And also you touch on that whole mother-daughter relationship, which can be complicated no matter the circumstances, much less when your mother is, well, somewhat, you feel like you're losing her. You're losing the person that you've always known her to be.
Right. But I found a lot of healing also in accepting this new person. Fighting and being an advocate and spreading awareness is one thing, and then the other part of it is much more personal, and that is still having a relationship with whoever this person is, and trying to love her as she is and find new ways to love her and new ways to communicate with her. So that's a lot about what I wrote about in the book. I wanted it to be a hopeful story, and that's why I called it Where the Light Gets In.
Yes, and to have some humor and right, to have that positive message behind it as well, that people can get through these struggles. Do people come to you after reading the book and say, this really, really helped me? Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, and that's been really amazing to get to meet these people face to face and or on Twitter or emails or just various ways people have reached out, and it's very gratifying to feel like our story has helped others in some way.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for
Thank
your time.
you.
Great to have you in Bowling Green.
Thanks, it's good to be here.
Good to see you, our neighbor, not too far away.
Yeah.
They're in Nashville, and the Warren County Library. Delighted to have you. And you can learn more about Kimberly Williams Paisley book online. Where do you direct people? What is your website?
WhereTheLightGetsInBook.com.
Yes, we can find it. Of
Yeah.
course, it's at our local library. We know that. Thank you again.
Thank you.